So all of you have the program design matrix handout, correct? This one here? All right, so I'm going to walk through it. Here's what I do. When I fill this out, I put the client's goals right on the front. I want to always be aware of their goals because I am always using language that I tie back to their goals to keep them motivated. If they don't get motivated, if they lose their motivation, that's when they lose their consistency. Okay? Because I always want to relate everything back to the destination they want to go to. So if they want fat loss, I got to remind myself, hey, we're doing this stuff to get out of pain so you can move better and burn more calories. If they want muscle building, I have to say, hey, we got to get your function better and do these correctives so you can activate the muscle even more for greater muscle development rather than all these compensation patterns. So I just have to be able to use language that is motivating to the individual. I also write down what they do for work. A couple of different reasons. You know, if they're sitting and they're constantly slumped forward, I might want to give them a greater degree of stretches to open up their posture because I know they're constantly doing this all day. Also, it's good for conversation to know things, and it's good to know about seasonal changes in stress. If somebody's an accountant, I know that during accounting season, I can't ask them to give what they don't have. They are so depleted. So a lot of my workouts then are about giving them more energy than taking energy out. It's about working in rather than working out. I might get them to do stuff that's more stability and breathing based and stuff rather than doing like German volume 10 sets of 10 and breaking them down when they're already depleted, okay? I also get them to write down their interests. Why? Because people like to talk about things that they like. It just makes for a more enjoyable session. Also, for us, it's very self-expansive for us to try to get interested in the things that our clients are interested in. You know, one of my clients, he is a member of the Anthony Trollope Society. Does anyone here know who Anthony Trollope is? Okay, he's like an old English author. He's been dead for a long time. He wrote some books. The books are incredibly boring. Why do I know? Because I actually read them so I'd have something to talk about with my client. But he loves it. So we once took like a bunch of the books and we went on a nature walk and filmed a video about Anthony Trollope together. It was my Christmas gift. I took him out for breakfast and a nature walk and we made a video and he loved it. He shows everybody, right? But I always try to like get interested in the things they're interested in for a number of different reasons, for my own self-expansion, but also because it makes our time together more interesting if we can share that, okay? I write down their family. I write down the names, ages, and something interesting about each so that I can be a sounding board and I'm not like, hey, what are your kids' names again? Like as if I don't care about the person. I actually want to take an interest and I want to be a fan in their life. So I need to have this down. So I write it down to show it matters to me. Every aspect of their life matters to me. I want to make notes of these things so I can like follow along in their life story and life journey. Reasons for renewals. When clients renew, I always ask them, so what was it that made you decide you wanted to renew? Okay? I have 7 clients that have been renewing since 2006. 17 years. Okay? The best way to get a new client is not just to hang on to your old clients. If you're not trying to find new clients all the time, okay? So one of them trains twice a week, okay, since 2006. When COVID happened, he was like, just so you know, the reason I renew, he's like, you've had me pain-free since the beginning. He's been 12% body fat pretty much that whole time. I think he started at like 21. We got him down in the first 6 months. Changed up his diet, got him regularly exercising. He had back pain. He got rid of the back pain in the first 3 months or something. He's been in maintenance phase for the majority of those 17 years. But he told me, he said, you know, I know there's lots of ways I can get exercise in. He's like, I renew with you because of the conversations. Okay? This is a person who's renewing twice a week for 17 years. And he said, because of the conversations. That highlights the point that we want to be able to have high quality conversations. For me, I'm always learning new things. He always wants to know what I'm learning so he can learn vicariously. That's the majority of our conversations. I just share what I'm learning about. That's it. And he loves it because he's so busy with kids and a busy job that he doesn't have time to think about these things. He doesn't have time to read books even. Okay? So, something to think about. Now, I also write down the exercises they like and the exercises they dislike. The reason is that enjoyment is a motivator. Okay? So if I have 2 options on types of exercises I can use for their goals, I'm going to bias the stuff they like. It just makes sense. If you have 2 ingredients that do the same thing, go with the ingredient they aren't allergic to, you know? That's the way you want to think about it when you're putting together programs for people, okay? I also write down their aches and pains because I want to be reminded of the areas I need to be sensitive with. And I also mark down their equipment access. Now, if they have gym access, it's easy. I can assume they have just about everything. Otherwise, if they're at a home gym or something like that, I want them tick boxing the equipment I can use that they will have access to. And I want to use that as a guideline because if I'm prescribing workouts, I want them doing solo workouts in addition to the workouts I do with them in order to get the best results possible. If they're not going to get in the solo workouts realistically, because some clients won't, I want to at least make sure I've given them programs to support them to do solo workouts if and when they're motivated. Okay, so I want to know how to set them up for success with that. I also write down what primal movements are a top priority based on their primary sports or activities. For a lot of clients, you may not need to do this, but let's say somebody's a hockey player. What are the main movements used in hockey? A lunge, a twist, right? Like, I want to make sure that I've got a lot of emphasis on those kinds of movement patterns based on what sports and activities they're doing. Okay? I also want you to think about what other customizations are a priority. Okay, what movement planes are a priority? Like sagittal, front to back. Do we need to do lots of that? Do we need to do lots of side to side? Do we need frontal plane? Do we need to do lots of transverse plane, rotation? Right? So if somebody loves golf, we might want to bias a little bit more of the transverse plane. But you also want to consider, like, what postural misalignments did they have? And what direction were they? If somebody was twisted, I'm going to bias a lot of transverse plane stability so that their body is good at automatically resisting unwanted rotation, at least posturally. So I do lots of anti-rotation stuff if their misalignments were twist related. If they had one shoulder higher than the other, then I might give them lots of like frontal plane balancing, things like side planks, glute medius exercises and drills to try to harmonize the tension in that direction. Okay, so we want to just be able to, I want you just to consider these things and what muscle groups are a priority based on the corrective recipes. If you look on the back of your corrective recipes, I say, okay, if it's like neck mate, we might want to work more of the posterior chain just to get everything back if you have head forward posture. So we might want to think, okay, I'm going to be hitting up a lot of like the mid-back, spinal extension, different things like that, okay? We may want to think about other unique things like what types of grip do they use in their activities. Like if it's a basketball player, I may use a lot of the med ball because it's a similar grip. If it's a football player like a lineman, I get them to do chest press with a semi-supinated grip at like a 45-degree incline because that's the angle they're like hitting at. So I want you to kind of think about grip as a customization. Also, energy system requirements. There's 3 primary energy systems, okay? We have anaerobic alactic, which is 1 to 10 seconds. It's creatine and ATP. You've got sports like golf that are largely in that. It's just a few seconds of activity. And then football. So we want to be able to accommodate training to that energy system they use. We've got anaerobic lactic, which is 10 to 20 seconds. That's like glycogen. And then we have aerobic, which is over 120 seconds, which is fatty acids. Okay, when you start training pro athletes, you're going to want to get these variables lined up, right? Cross-country skiing, 5% anaerobic alactic, 10% anaerobic lactic, 85% aerobic. Okay, so we're going to be training the longer energy systems, right? Hockey is 60-20-20. It's a little bit more of a 60% anaerobic alactic, 20 anaerobic lactic, 20 aerobic. I feel like this is a tongue twister even talking about this, all right, using all these words. But you might also want to consider the work to rest intervals. Hockey players, a typical shift is 40 seconds. So if we're keeping the work intervals in around 40 seconds, then that's obviously more transferable from an energy system requirement, okay? And they get like 3 minutes of rest. So I want you to consider those kinds of things as well. Another big thing is, whenever you're training somebody for any sport or activity, I want you to make note of what are the 3 most common injuries for that. What are the 3 most common injuries for that sport? All right, like it might be like hockey, it might be like groin pulls, abdominal wall tears. How can we bulletproof somebody against that, right? So we want to think about most common injuries and how we might do some prehab to prepare them so that they don't get injured instead of rehab, right? And then what else should we consider? So those are some of the things on the front. You don't have to answer all these questions for every client. Not at all. Some of them are irrelevant. Some of them is like, it doesn't really matter for this client. That's fine. You just pass it over. I just want to at least throw some ideas at you. So you might be like, oh, this is really relevant because this person loves golf so much. So I want to show them that I've taken it all into account and that they're in good hands, okay? So then if you flip it around to the back, we got primal movement planning. Now, one of the things we want to consider is progressing from like static to dynamic movement demands. Okay, like I might start with anti-rotation before I progress to rotation. All right, I might start with anti-side bend before I get them doing dynamic side bending. Okay, and just progress them along like that. Be able to resist motion before I get you to dynamically do motion. All right, you might want to consider progressing from simple to complex movements. Sometimes when I get clients that are just new to exercise, I might have them doing rows face down over an inclined bench, so they only have to focus on moving their shoulder blades. Then I might progress them to doing it with their butt on the wall, so it's a little bit more compound. And then a free bent over row. I try to isolate before I integrate, so people can learn it step by step. So I want you to consider that. And I also want you to consider this. What I do is every workout I progress people typically in one of 5 ways. Every workout we do, when we do the same workout, I will either increase the reps by at least 1 rep on that exercise. Okay, I will increase maybe the work interval. Let's say you were doing the exercise for 60 seconds, I maybe add 5 seconds. Okay, so last day we did goblet squats, 60 seconds, today it's 65, next day it'll be 70. Okay, so I increase the work interval. Another thing I might do is, alternatively, I might increase the sets. Last day we did this workout, we did everything for 2 sets, today we're bumping it up to 3 sets. Okay, another thing I might do is I might progress the weight. So I might say, okay, we did 15 pounds last time on these bicep curls, today we're going on to 17 and a half. All right? Or I might progress the complexity and challenge of the movement. And in very easy ways. If you have somebody doing a bicep curl, I could have them doing a bicep curl with a little pump at the top. So we're doing like a little pump at the top like this to really hit it. That's a progression. I don't need to change reps, sets, weights. We just do this and it's progression. We want to always be thinking in terms of a subtle progression each workout. When they stop progressing, that's when you would say they've hit a plateau. People will hit a plateau at a different point depending on how neurologically advanced they are. Really elite and pro athletes plateau faster. You have to change things up more. They might plateau in around 4th and 5th workout. General population, usually it's around number 8. Okay, so usually I change the workout when we get to workout number 8. I'm already changing it up. Now I've got all these different categories I've written out for you, okay? So you can make, for each client, you can make like a top 10 list. Now I'm gonna get Physio Pharaoh up here and he's gonna do charades. He's just gonna try to act out every movement I'm going to describe here. So I'm gonna go through some real life examples of how to do this. So let's say we go to twist progressions. I might start a client off with opposite hand and knee floats on all 4s. So if he's on all 4s, he might float the opposite hand and knee for 10 seconds, just a centimeter off the floor. You see, this is very static. Sometimes they're wobbly, and then you would lower and switch sides, right? So this is very static, it's a good starting point. Then I might get him to do it with his feet floating in the air. So just turn sideways so everyone can see you. Now this is a progression. I'm reducing the base of support, I'm making it more challenging. So that's what I might do next. I may then increase the lever arms and I might get him to do bird dogs next, like that. Okay, then lowering and repeating. Then I might get him to do high heel bird dogs. So his feet are floating off the ground and now do a bird dog. This one's way harder, I'm reducing the base of support. So that might be like our number 4 movement. Then I might go on to things like plank rotations. So if he's down in a front plank, he'll rotate, moving that shoulders and hips as one piece. He'll rotate onto a side, into a side plank, okay? Then come back to the center, and then rotate onto the other side. So now this is a little bit more progressed than the previous movements. Then I might have him stand up, and he might do like the cable Pallof press, right? Where you're standing side, so there's a cable from here, he pushes it out in front, the cable is pulling him, in this direction, but he's resisting through his whole body. 5-second holds like that. I might start like that. Then I might go with a cable twist with static hips. Him keeping his hips straight, I might have him just doing this, okay, with the hips still. Then I may progress him to dynamic hips. So now he's turning his hips with it. It's more of a compound movement, okay? Then from there, I might have him go on to diagonal chops from high to low, like that, high to low. Then I might go into upward diagonal chops, low to high, okay? Then I might have him with a medicine ball doing ballistic tosses, or even a kettlebell, okay? But that would be kind of like, there you go, yeah. Did he not do a good job of twist? Okay. Could you see how I was showing step by step how to start at an easy twist and progress to harder twists, and then it's just a matter of where we're at. Okay, do you want to see him do another example?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, well, all right. Let's go on to the push category. Okay, we're going to start off easy with like a wall push-up. Wall push-up. Okay, very easy, right? Or I could do incline push-up with a bench, something a little bit lower. Okay, right? Now he's like, so that might be like a little bit more challenging. Okay, then from there I might go on to dumbbell chest press on the floor. Dumbbell chest press on the floor, right? So this might be now step 3. Dumbbell chest press on the floor. So there's not a lot moving. It's very simple, straightforward. Yeah, that's fine there. Just dumbbell chest press on the floor. Now from there I might go on to Swiss ball push-ups with your lower body on the ball. Okay? Lower body on the ball. So this is going to require like a little bit more trunk stabilization. Okay, so it's a little bit more of a complex movement pattern. All right, but still not too hard. It's not like I'm getting him to do the push-ups with his hands on the ball. Okay, now from there I might go on to dumbbell pec fly on the floor, because now I'm going with a longer lever arm. So it's a progression from what he's done previously. Right, so now it's a dumbbell pec fly on the floor, long lever arm. Right, now I might get him to go on to side push-ups. So he does a push-up on the floor from his hands and feet, then he walks his hands to the side at the top of each push-up. So he goes to the left, push-up, now go to the right, push-up. Okay, good. Now I might get him to do dumbbell chest press with his upper back on the ball from a glute bridge. Okay? So give him a big round of applause. He's hustling here. Yeah, so he might do that. So now he's doing chest presses, but he's also combining it with hip extensions. It's more complex there. Now I might get him to do one arm or alternating arm chest presses on there, right? Just alternating arms. So now I'm bringing in a little bit of anti-rotation in addition to the press movement here. And I might get him to do alternating pec flies on the ball. Okay, so he brings one out to the side. Now this is bringing in a lot of the transverse plane. He has to resist being rotated around there. Okay, after that I might go on to incline chest press on the ball. So you drop your hips. So this is an incline angle. Hips down, bring your butt closer to your heels. Yeah. I don't want him to like slip and hit himself. So now I'm increasing the angle for the pecs by dropping his hips, right? And I might get him onto like alternating versions and everything else. We might go on to barbell bench press, and then I might get him to do like plyo push-ups. So he might do push-ups where his hands leave the ground at the top of each push-up. Okay? So you watch this, like hands leave the ground, there you go. And then I might get him to go on to the full body rebound push-up where your hands and feet go off the ground. There you go, just like that. Perfect, give him a big round of applause. Okay? You see how he's crushing it. We would crush it at charades. We had no practice on this. I just said, you just go up and act. All right, you guys want to see another one? Okay, all right, let's go on to pull, all right? W retractions on the floor, W retractions.
These ones?
Yeah. So on the floor, he's bringing his arms up in a W, just like that, squeezing the shoulder blades together, holding for 5 seconds, lowering and repeating. So I'm just teaching retraction in a very isolated way so that they get this, okay? Then I might go into like wall slides, which is a little bit more challenging, right? He just got his back to the wall. I tell people to go from, magnetize your spine to the wall, go from like an H to a V, all right? So go like this. I'll get you to do this variation, H to V.
Okay.
H to V, right? So you might do that. I might get him to do it from like a wall sit position, right? Just to make it a little bit harder, all right? And then I might get him to do it sitting with his bottoms of his feet together at the bottom of the wall,
like
in
that?
a yoga sit, knees out to the sides, bottoms of your feet together. Yeah, this one's a little bit harder because it brings in, you have to do a lot more thoracic extension to get into it with that one there. So I might go into that variant there, okay? Then I might go into stiff arm dumbbell pullovers. There's another one. So he's going to be laying face up.
Careful on this one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So he might be doing just like a dumbbell pullover like that, okay? I might then take him into like a lat pull down, all right? Just show us what a lat pull down might look like if you're on the machine. Right there. That's a good lat pull down. Now I might get him to go on to a one-arm row with the free hand on the ball. One-arm row with the free hand on the ball. Dumbbell row, okay? So he's going like, now no, you don't have to make it that hard. Bring your feet under your hips, so don't like plank it out. Okay, now this ball is very inflated, but what I love about this is doing this one-arm row, this is working all the rotator cuff. Okay, keeping that hand, stabilizing, and I can feel them all twitching in there when he does it. This is a great exercise for just the post arm here. So that could be a progression there. All right, then I might go on to like dumbbell reverse fly with the free hand on the ball. Don't use the weight because it's a little bit much. Just show us reverse fly. Okay, he's going to show us with that weight. I didn't want to give it, it's a little bit heavier. Give him a big round of applause. Like, you don't have to like kill yourself with that weight. All right, now show everybody what a cable face pull looks like. Show everybody what a cable face pull looks like. Cable face pull, yeah. Bringing the shoulders together like that with the cables. Okay, stiff arm cable push downs. Stiff arm cable push downs like this with the bar from a high cable. You got to really tense your abs because it's trying to like flex you up, okay? Then we might go on to barbell rows with your butt on the wall. Barbell rows, butt on the, you do dumbbells if you want. Do dumbbells if you want, okay? So butt on the wall, I like to do to start because you have to do some stabilization of the low back, right? So he's doing rows like that. And then from there, I might progress into freestanding bent over rows, which are otherwise it's too much of a jump. And I find that a lot of times trainers jump to this too soon when people don't have the stability and they're constantly fixing the form. But it's like the problem is you skip too many steps in their progression. And then I might take them to drop and catch rows. Do you know how to do the drop and catch? It's like a plyo. You toss and catch it at the top of each one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So he's kind of like doing it. There you go. See that one there? When you drop and catch it, it dials the muscles up. So I might go on to that. And then we might go on to like chin-ups and pull-ups and everything else. Right? Chin-ups, pull-ups. I might start close grip because it's a little bit easier. Progress to like wide grip. You know, all kinds of different things. Okay, give a big round of applause. Give a big round of applause. Hey, you guys want to see another one?
Lunge.
Lunge. Okay, lunge. Okay, I'm gonna get you to start in a kneeling lunge. Kneeling lunge. Now, what I would do is that's a little bit of an easier kneeling lunge, and I'd have them do upper body exercises, like maybe like bicep curls from that position, right? He might do bicep curls from that position. He might do dumbbell lateral raises. He might do overhead presses. Okay, like what I'm getting him to do is just doing this with the lower body in that position. But if I want to make it harder, I make this an inline lunge, so pretend you're on a tightrope, okay? And I bring the heel back touching that knee. That makes it way harder. It's working all the lunge stabilizers, okay? As you can see, it's harder than it looks. Cheer him on, he's working hard. It is harder than it looks, isn't it? But you do that, you can do alternating to make it harder. But that's how I kind of like start clients off. You don't have to do any more of this. Okay, but yeah, so we can do alternating to mix it up because now it's challenging them. Now I can get them to like do standing exercise from a staggered stance, heel toe. I could get them to do the same thing in upright. Bicep curls, right? Lateral raises, overhead presses. Why get somebody to just stand in a symmetrical stance when we can do this and we can work on that lateral stabilization, okay? Then I might go into Swiss ball lunges with the low back, ball between the low back and the wall, okay? Right? So he'll have the back foot right by the wall. Now I like this because it's back supported for clients when they're lunging. Okay, if I want to make it harder, I can go arms overhead, right? That helps them to have even straighter posture. So I can start them off with something like that, okay? Then from there, I might progress to stationary lunges. So just do a freestanding stationary lunge. Normally when I get clients to do it, physio, I get them to go beside the wall so that they are within arm's reach of the wall so that they feel more supported there. Okay, and I might have them like hold the dumbbell in like a goblet position or something like that. Then I might go into goblet reverse lunges. So holding the dumbbell or kettlebell in front. I like goblet rather than holding the dumbbells down by the sides because this creates hoop tension in the core. I want more core activation, so I bias goblet big time. Now you might just do like reverse lunges. Yeah, that's forward, but that's okay. There you go, that's reverse. Okay, that's a step through lunge. We're gonna work up to that one. Start with just backward, back to center. There you go. and then back to center. Okay, so that's like a reverse lunge. Now I might go side lunges, stepping out to the side, okay, then out to the other side. Now I might go curtsy lunges where you step across and behind, okay, and now that's bringing in different angles on the hips. Now I might go into like forward lunges, just don't step on anything, right? I might go into something like that, alternating forward, okay? I might go into a reverse lunge into a knee drive like this, okay? Something like that there too, okay? Step through lunges. So forward into reverse, forward into reverse. Those will gas you, by the way. Then I might go into like, yeah, there you go, lunge and pass-throughs. I might go into things like high step-ups. High step-ups is still very similar to the lunge pattern, you know, with like hurting yourself here, right? He's got his foot on that, you know, and he's doing it with a knee drive. And I might even go with a high plyo box, something like that, okay? And then I might go into barbell lunges and then jumping lunges, okay? So we got jumping lunges, he's switching his feet midair, just like that. Okay, give him a big round of applause. What's that? You want to see him work again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bend progressions. Low back extensions. Everyone knows the low back machine at the gym and the bench. You can do it with the ball. Feet on the wall and you kind of like, no, facing the other way. Face down over the ball.
No, face down over the ball.
No, feet at the wall.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Front of your hips on the ball. And you just kind of do a low back extension here. So you'd have his arms crossed, right? And you're just doing a low back extension. So you know you got the low back extension machine too. So I might start off with an isolation move, just like that. Then I might take him into the bowing to Buddha exercise, might be the choice I give him next. I mean, you could do a glute bridge, a hip thrust, whatever you want. This is one of the ETA movements we do, because I love it because it's unilateral, just doing that. So he's doing the extension, but now it's a little bit more involved, all right? Just like that. And then I might get him up on his feet. We might do like kettlebell hip hinges. So he's going to practice just like karate chopping the hips back, right, like this, and then just kind of pushing the hips forward. So that's the movement there, just like a kettlebell hip hinge. I might have them doing it in front of a wall and say, touch your butt to the wall, so that they get the idea that the hips are supposed to go back rather than us leaning forward. Then I might get him to do like a low cable pulley, sumo stiff-legged deadlift. So holding like a cable pulley in front, imaginary cable pulley, so it's a like rope handle, and then you push your hips back and you stand forward. It's very safe deadlift because it's being pulled in more of the horizontal plane, so it brings in more core and it's less compressive, right? If everything's good there, I might get them to go like dumbbell single-legged deadlifts, okay? I might be like, hey, we're good at doing deadlifts on 2 legs, let's try 1 leg this time. So we might be doing movements like that next. Then I might get him to do a glute bridge with his feet on the ball. This one really dings the hamstrings. We'll see. Don't worry, I'm going to stop getting him to do charades when he does pull a muscle. Just so you know. So I might get you go knees bent, feet flat. Knees bent, feet flat, hands down by your sides, lifting your hips up and down. This one, and then lower the hips down. This one, it looks easy, but it feels like you're forming a tennis ball in your hamstrings when you do this one. That's why I put it a little bit further along. Okay? Then we might go on to kettlebell swings after that. All right? Kettlebell swings, it's a great bend movement, but you got to work people up to it piece by piece. Okay? Then we might go into Romanian deadlifts, okay? So you can use the dumbbells. I would otherwise use a barbell, but this is almost like a half deadlift. You're not going down all the way. You're just going down below the knees, pushing the hips back. We'd be going a little bit heavier weight. Then we might go into a snatch grip deadlift, which is very wide, feet close. Hands very wide on the bar. Oh, this one's more like a squat, actually. Okay. Yeah. This one, yeah. So it would look like that. Then I might go into good mornings, okay? So he'd be holding a barbell on his back. And I go wide stance, but he'd have a bar along the back and doing a good morning like that. And that would be a lot of the bend progressions there. Give him a big round of applause. You guys want to see another one? Yeah. Okay, good. This is the first time we've ever done this with a class, so
all right.
Neither of us we're like, all right, tall kneeling upper body exercises. Do tall kneeling. Be in a tall kneeling position. Grab those dumbbells, okay? Do like, do what I want you to do here, do some forearm exercises, reverse curls, okay? Anything tall kneeling is going to help you on the squat with hip extension, okay? I might have him doing something like forearm exercises, alternating midline hammer curls. We're doing like different bicep exercises there. He might do like dumbbell front raise, side raise combos, stuff like that. mixing it in. I might have him doing alternating overhead shoulder presses, just lots of different movements, and then I might have him going close grip, semi-supinated overhead press. This gets more of the triceps in when you do that one there. It's almost like a tricep exercise, okay? So I mix in a lot of stuff where you're just tall kneeling. Then I go into like regular glute bridges, so dynamic. So that was all static, laying face up. I might have him do glute bridges, lift your hips up all the way, okay? I might have him just doing that statically, but then getting him to do chest press and pec fly from a static hip bridge, even alternating chest press and pec fly. This is a squat progression, right? Because I'm training him for that hip extension. But then that's one variation of it, but another thing is just to do dynamic glute bridges. So he's lifting his hips up and down. Okay, and then I might have him do it, yeah, and he could do it unilateral. I might have him doing it with his upper back on the ball. All right, so back on ball, hip extensions. Okay, so arms crossed, so he's going to drop his butt down, and then pushing the hips up, 5-second pause, squeeze the glutes to the top. Squeeze, 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 relax, and then repeat. And then all the way up, squeeze, 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 relax, and repeat. Now I might get him to go on to box squats. Okay, let's just go goblet box squats. This is my favorite way to teach the squat pattern. Holding the weight in front keeps people tense through the core so that they don't lean forward. So I just have them sit all the way down, then stand up. Okay, just like that. I could have him doing this, if I want to make it more challenging, I could have him rack it on one side. Okay, but you can bring the ball down here, but rack it on one side. Because now I'm bringing in lateral stabilizers in addition to it. I'm working the side of the spine for frontal plane, right? Just doing something like that, sitting down and standing up. Okay, then I might have, and I could have him doing that with a barbell. I'd have him do like low pulley squats where you're holding the cable unit. So it's like rope handle, it's right at the bottom. You can sit all the way down and stand up. You won't lose your balance, right? And then you're firing all the muscles on the back side of the body when you do this, which helps you keep upright when you're doing free squatting, okay? Then I might have him doing goblet free squats after that, right? Now it's a lot easier for him to do it with good form, so I'm not constantly correcting form on people because I've built them up and strengthened all the independent parts, okay? Then after that, I might go into like barbell front squats, where you're holding the barbell across the front of the shoulders. Then I might have him do barbell back squats, okay? Just like so. Then I might have him do one arm dumbbell overhead squat. So just hold the dumbbell overhead. You could do box if you want here, but one arm overhead. Much more challenging. Then I could have him go double arm overhead. All right? Just like so. Perfect. And then after that, I might have him go on to jump squats, plyometric base. Now that I'm confident I'm not going to rattle things around. And I might have him holding weight and stuff there. Give him a big round of applause. You want to see another one? Okay, gait progressions. Gait progressions. Cross crawl to start. That's a gait progression because gait is all about the brain, okay? So I'm just getting him to do that drill there. Cross crawl progressions. Single leg balance upper body exercise. So I can literally have him doing anything in his upper body while balancing on one leg, okay? Anything single-legged is going to be helpful for gait, all right? So you can see him doing that one there, but even still, like single-legged deadlifts can count. You know, I could have him doing single-leg tricep kickbacks, free hand on the ball, still helping. Anything single-leg stance would work there, okay? Calf raises, every variation of calf raise. Particularly one-legged calf raises, I really like. I could even have them doing the body check calf raises, where I have people slide into the wall like this and go up and down. My favorite version of the calf raise is with your foot on a yoga block. It feels like trying to run on quicksand. It just blitzes the calves. Then I'd have them do foot taps, where with your back against the wall, he's tapping his feet up and down. He's working the shins here, right? And as we saw in some of the other courses, this one burns a lot, all right? I might have him doing peg leg knee dips. Okay, holding a weight in front, just what this is for femoral control, yeah. Just up and down like that, a quarter of the way. I'm making sure he's not wobbling all over the place, all right? Then I might have him doing the clock-based toe touch drill, where he's just touching it all the way around, right? And bringing it back to center each time, bring it back to center each time. I might have him doing that holding weight to develop his, then I might bring him into things like walking lunges, all right? Because now he's got locomotion. So like forward walking lunges, okay? Just like that. Could be one that's good for gait. I also might get him to do forward crawling. So crawl with your knees off the ground, okay? So he's crawling, just like that. Also good for gait and backwards crawling, okay? And I might have them doing crawling 360s, where you imagine that you're on a swivel, like a rotisserie, like a Swiss Chalet commercial, and you're just kind of moving around the rotisserie, like that. All of those different types of drills. Then I might have them do dumbbell farmer walks. So he might hold a weight. I usually like to go down on one side. Just go down on one side. Dumbbell on one side only. I prefer one side because we're bringing in frontal plane. Okay? So that's a farmer's walk. He's holding the weight on one side. A progression is hold it up in the rack position, up at the shoulder, like this. A further progression is hold it straight overhead. Now, and then I like to do infinity walks where you're weaving in a figure 8 pattern as a further progression. Sometimes I get them to start like this, they burn it out, they bring it to here, they burn it out, they bring it down by their side. And I do it as a triple drop on the farmer's walks, okay? Then we might go on to sled pushing. So he's like down on all fours, he's like pushing the sled. Give him a big round of applause on his imaginary sled. Then I might get him to do sled pulling, where you're pulling the sled backwards. So imagine he's got the sled, look at that, he's pulling that imaginary sled, give him a big round of applause. Then we go on to skipping. So you know the skipping, and then skipping like the one where you like move forward like this, like where you're like right? I might get him to go on to that. Then I might get him to go on to jogging, okay? Then I might get him to go on to running. And then sprints. Everyone cheer for him. Sprints. Okay, give him a big round of applause. All right, now, what else do we got? We got postural correctives. Is another category. So let's say he has head forward posture. I want to mix in wall leans. Like let's say it was like Eugenie. Remember it was like wall leans are good as a postural corrective. Do a wall lean, okay? So he might do a wall lean because we're like, we know we need to get your head back. Then I might get him to do wall lean dumbbell lateral raises. We're going to do dumbbell lateral raises. Then we do it this way. Wall lean alternating bicep curls. Wall lean forearm raises. Okay? Wall lean Zotman curls. Palms up on the way up, palms down on the way down. Just like that. I'll mix in a whole bunch of different wall lean variations, as you can see, right? We're straightening out his neck the whole time while we're doing all our upper body accessories, right? If somebody had a low shoulder girdle, I might throw in things like downward dogs, right? Because I need to get the shoulder girdle up, right? I might throw in things like the dolphin, because we need to get the shoulder girdle up. And then I might get them to do squats, lunges, everything with the arms overhead the whole time, okay? Now, if somebody has like high shoulders, then I'm going to want to bring their shoulders down. So I might do things like farmer's walks with the arms down by the sides, heavy weight. I might get them to do vertical pulling, like lat pull downs with a 5-second pause at the bottom, bringing the shoulder girdle down, okay? So I want you to use your creativity and postural correctives. I give you a lot of suggestions on the back of every corrective recipe. Okay? Then we go into the like accessories category. Okay, for accessories, I might say, look, you just want to look good for the beach, let's do some bicep 21s or whatever, right? But maybe it could be like he wants to be like good at golf, I can give him some golf drills. I used to set up in my rest intervals a mini putting hole, and I got my clients bring in their golf set, and I'd throw a bunch of crap from the gym on the floor, like a mini putting thing, and I'd have the mini putt in their rest intervals. Okay, to actually do skill practice. They loved it, okay? Like I would mix in creative drills for that. If they have cardio goals, I might throw in some cardio drills here. I might throw in like jumping jacks.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Right? Or like high knee running on the spot, right? Different things like that I might mix in, okay? And then if it's like he just wants to burn fat, then I might say, well, let's throw in some like burpees. Right? So yeah. Well, let's throw in some burpees. Just like that. What else do you guys want to see him do? All right. Give him a big round of applause. Okay. So, did he do a good job out there today? Yeah, of course. He crushed it. Bro, you're amazing. I love that. He didn't even like get out of breath. I'm up here beside him like, this guy is not human. He is a machine cyborg. So, what I'm going to encourage you to do is, when you have clients, make your set lists of these different movements and progressions. This is the way I do it, and that's how you can train somebody for like 17 years and keep mixing things up, because I'm putting on all these different little twists and tweaks on everything.
I need to know